And from wherever you are, slowly start to transition. We're going to meet in a downward dog. So planting those palms, shoulders width, tucking those toes under. And while we wait here for the others to join, just start to move your body in downward dog. So walking out your feet, stretching out your back, really activating the muscles in the arms, the back, body, pushing the mat away from the chest to reach the chest palate toward the back of the thighs. So getting that nice deep opening right into the front of the armpit area. Allow the belly to hollow out a little bit, pulling in and back to your spine. Inhale the heels nice and high up toward the ceiling. And on an exhale, you're going to ground those heels down and then again lengthen through the back. Do that again. Inhale, lift the heels high, lengthen out your spine, and then exhale, ground down your heels, and then straighten out your back as much as you can. That's going to be our priority one. Even if the knees are not straight or the heels don't touch, don't worry about that right now. Just work on lengthening the spinal cord. Getting into some leg stretches. Walk the big toes together to touch. Bend the right knee. And then stepping the right foot in the middle of your mat, dropping the back left heel down. Just for a slightly different angle, you're going to get the heels pretty much aligned to one another. If you have props in reaching's distance, you can take them just underneath the palms so you work on straightening out the right knee as much as possible. Inhale a flat spine from here as you pull the right hip back a little bit. Exhale, dive a little bit deeper into that forward fold. Maybe the tip of the nose could come toward the kneecap or the shin. And you're just going to hold here for a few breaths. Try to keep the breaths long, rhythmic. For those who want to add on, for the last 3 counts, you're going to bring all the weight toward the right leg. Then you're going to lift the back leg up, bending at the knee, and with the right hand, try to grab a hold of the foot. Pulling that heel closer to the glute, and then squeeze that left glute to bring the kneecap higher as you deepen your set into a forward fold. Take your final 2 breaths here. Try to relax your head so the crown of the head is parallel to the mat. This is basically prepping us for a standing splits if you came in this option. And slowly release. Big toes come to touch. And do the best that you can as you bend the knees, coming into a squat. And if the heels are quite lifted or if your balance isn't there, then just take some props beside you. And with time, just really allow the backs of the calves to soften and that area to lengthen. Working on opening up through the fascial plane at the bottom of the feet as well. Try to keep the back neck long here and your shoulders down so they're not rising up toward the earlobes. Whatever your position may look like, take the eyes to look to the top of the mat and just hang out here for just a few more resting breaths before we switch sides. Nice work. Coming into a forward fold, reaching the hips up, step the feet hips width, and then soften through the front of your belly, relaxing the weight of the upper body and deepening into your set. Palms to the shins, inhale a flat back. Exhale a forward fold. Down dog stretch. Walk the feet back. And then just again, find a little bit of movement. Walking out your feet, shaking out your head, pulsing that chest palate toward the back thighs. Good. Take 3 still breaths where your body stays physically still and you're breathing slow and rhythmic in and out of the nose. Walking the big toes together to touch, bending your left knee, and then stepping that foot into the middle of your mat. Heels are aligned, your right toes are slightly pointing out at an angle. And then once again, you've got your props there. You're working on straightening out that front left leg, pulling the left hip back, setting the shoulder scapula down. Inhale, lengthen through the front of the chest. And then exhale, just work on going a little bit deeper into that fold. You're here for just a few more breaths. Relaxing the head. Try to really lengthen out through the back, nape of the neck. Now, if you've done it before on the other side, you're going to do the same thing here where you shift the weight to the left leg. So the right leg lifts up in space, bending the right knee, left palm grabs a hold of the foot, and then maybe the right palm can touch the mat. Whatever your pose looks like, whether you came into this option or not, try to relax the head again. Keep the eyes focused at a still point, maybe at the ankle of the left. And then squeeze the right glute. Lift that kneecap a little higher in space. And then breathing into the rib cage here. Really allow the quality of the inhale and exhales to cycle through your body. Taking one more breath before big toes come to touch. Coming back into that squat set. And then lengthening out through the back of the body. So working through some of these longer stretches, more than some of you may be used to. Really pulling back more into a hatha base, still a little faster than a hatha. But you're really just using that space of breath and awareness of the body to keep you centered and grounded, especially if you find yourself wandering through multiple different thoughts or opinions or stories, narratives. Okay, taking one more breath here. You're coming back into that forward fold set. Feet are just stepping about hips width. Relaxing your head. Taking the palms to the shins, inhale a flat back. Exhale a forward fold. And then bend the knees deeply. Start to roll up your spine vertebrae by vertebrae. When you come to a stand, take 3 shoulder rolls forward and up on an inhale. Back and down on an exhale. Good, 2 more. Good, coming into a dancer's pose. So step into the middle of your mat. Taking the weight onto your left leg. And then find that focus point out in front of you with the eyes. Bending at the right knee and grabbing a hold of the foot. Squeezing your glute. Setting your shoulders down. And just enjoy the quadricep stretch here for a few breaths. And you can remain here, or you could start to come into your full pose, where the left arm reaches up toward the ceiling. Your right palm holds onto the instep of the right foot, and then you start by just kicking the right leg back. Squeezing the glute muscle, and then start to hinge the upper body forward as you kick the right leg a little further back at the same time. Finding that length in through the front of the chest. Soften through your left toes. Continuing to kick through that right leg as the upper body hinges forward. Maintaining that center point of gravity on your left foot. You're here for 5, 4, 3. Slowly come to a standing posture and then release that right foot down. Sway the hips from side to side. Circle out through the ankles and the wrists. Take the palms to your lower back. Take the eyes to look to the ceiling on an inhale. Exhale, lean back and press the hips forward. Get that stretch at the front of the plane of the body. And then slowly bring yourself back up. And we're just going to switch sides. So bring the weight onto the right leg. Find that focus point out in front of you again. Bend your left knee. And then just grab a hold of your foot. Now you've got most likely a wall or a chair or something around you if your balance feels a little bit off. But remember, it's all about the practice. Squeezing that pelvic floor slightly to lengthen out the lumbar spine. Lifting up through the chest palate. Maintaining your posture for just a couple more breaths before we start to come into the expression of the pose. Reaching the right arm up toward the ceiling. And then that left arm holds onto the instep of the left foot. Slowly start to lengthen through the front of the body, setting the shoulder scapula down, and then start to kick that left leg back. If this is enough, you can stay here, or start to hinge the upper body forward as you kick the left leg back at the same time. Squeeze your glute tightly. Continue to open up through the front of the chest. Kick that back left leg. Reach the upper body forward. You're here for 5. Keep breathing. 4, 3, 2. Mindfully stand it up, relaxing that left leg down. Sway the hips from side to side. Circle out through the ankles. And then the wrists. Coming to the length of your mat. We're just going to let that go by stepping the feet as wide as you can right now. Toes are slightly out at an angle. And then coming down into a footballer stance. Now take the right palm onto the inner right thigh. Draw the right shoulder blade down. And then coming into a twist as you look past the left shoulder. You're here for a couple of breaths. Good. Slowly switch, taking the left palm on the inner thigh. Slowly drop that left shoulder blade down slightly so you get a slight twist. Then you're looking past the right shoulder. Try to keep the hips the same height as your kneecaps, okay? Continue to breathe here wherever you feel the tension in the trunk of the body, to try to take more circulation, more airflow there, to create that opening and stretch. Good. As you bring yourself back into that footballer stance, take a breath. Forward fold, palms to the ground, reaching the hips skyward. And then relax the crown of the head so it's parallel to the floor. Shake out your head a little bit from side to side. Nod the head up and down. perch up onto the fingertips, flat back, inhale. Forward fold, exhale. From here, walk your palms toward whichever foot so you can come back into your downward dog stretch. And we're going to take 5 back-to-back flushes, vinyasa. Inhale, high plank, first one, knees, chest, chin, lower down halfway. Upward dog on an inhale, squeeze your glutes. Downward dog, exhale, that's 1. Inhale, high plank. You can come into that modified set or high to low. Continue to cycle with your breath now. Whether you want to be going fast or slow, your palms are directly underneath the shoulders. All 10 fingers are spread out nice and wide. And you're just flowing with your breath, letting go of the work that you've done in this series. A little slower of a set, more of like an active recovery round. Okay, once you've gone through the 5, come into any final movements, maybe some water, before you drop down into your child's pose. And you breathe here for the next add-on.